Not all hope is lost here, because this game is an extraction shooter that definitely gives you the Halo vibes.
It seems more and more likely that the next big gaming trend is gonna be the extraction shooter.
An extraction shooter that has a fun, colorful approach to its gameplay.
Is aiming to popularize the extraction shooter genre.
What is the best extraction shooter?
Give you a super short introduction to all 27 extraction shooters.
Wait, what?
All 27 extraction shooters.
27?
27.
Really? How the heck did we get here? I knew this genre of game had industry appeal, but I didn't know it was to this extent. I first heard about extraction shooters through Shroud, where he said apparently this is the next big thing. As someone connected to the industry, he knew something at the time that most gamers didn't. And he was right. So much so people are comparing the next coming years in the shooter genre to that of the Battle Royale boom. There's even a good chunk of people saying it may overtake Battle Royales. But I'm not quite sold on that idea yet, for a number of reasons. And yes, out of these 27 and counting games, there will certainly be at least 2 successful titles that stand the test of time. At least I would hope so if there are this many companies, devs, money, and resources being put into it. Nonetheless, in this video, I'll express my skepticism about this new wave of extraction shooters, as well as mention what game actually gives me somewhat hope for this genre. I would like to say that I've played about 4 extraction shooters so far, and all of them have left me skeptical about this incoming boom. As I've watched gameplay of to-be-released titles as well in this category, I'm not left excited either. One of those reasons is because it feels like the developers are making an incomplete looter shooter with PvP slapped on top. It feels like they're taking the approach of creating a looter shooter first, and at the last minute flipping the switch for PvP without thinking about how these elements can coexist. They're taking the worst and mundane aspects of looter shooters while placing a PvP bow on top and calling it a day. I can quickly see them running into the problem of trying to please everybody but end up pleasing no one. I'm basically talking about the common aspect I see many extraction shooters push, which is the PvPvE. Typically, if someone's playing a shooter, they either want to play PvP to get the satisfaction of being better than another real human, or they play PvE to get the satisfaction of beating a hard boss and showing off their new, cool, and stronger gear as an achievement. A PvP-minded player will quickly get bored of spending most of their time fighting NPCs. A PvE-minded player will be frustrated at the annoying and or unpredictable tactics another player will make. Could there be some overlap? Yes. Is it enough to overtake the BR genre? I would have to see it to believe it, mainly because nothing's more annoying than getting third-party by another team. I take that back. Getting third-party by another team while trying to fight off waves of NPCs. I know this because Fortnite tried forcing this into their BRs a long time ago, and people hated it. Since then, they found a happy medium by letting players have the choice to opt into PvE rather than forcing it down their throats. For the PvE-minded player, it sucks too. Imagine you are about to finish destroying a really hard mini-boss that took you and your crew a while to beat. Just when you thought you could celebrate with that nice new loot, another group of people swoop in to finish you and your teammates off. Not only do they take loot from the mini-boss that you put most of the work to get, but they get access to your personal gear and items too. That's right, you just got double dick down, buddy. This is one of the reasons why so many MMO gamers hate the idea of an open world game where PvP is always on. It's also crazy how many of these new games coming out are just Tarkov clones with 1 or 2 different gimmicks, but with the same graphics and similar gunplay. When you compare Apex, Fortnite, PUBG, yes, PUBG, and Warzone, they're all vastly different in gameplay, movement, and graphics. People don't want a space Tarkov that has all the same issues the original Tarkov had, but in a different setting. People want innovation, similar to how Apex innovated the BR game loop by addressing issues gamers had, like the reboot system. It fixed the problem of a teammate getting eliminated early and all they can do is watch someone else clutch or get eliminated in a 1v3 or 1v2 situation. Or even introducing a ping system with character voice lines to help communication, which is important for a team-based game. And next, I want to talk about my personal preference, which a lot of gamers who enjoy PvP shooters share. And it's the competitive aspect of the game, more specifically rank. And as we know, rank and BRs are already tricky because of all the RNG involved, as well as how you calculate a person's rank and which should add more weight. Is it the eliminations you get or how well you place? Should the MMR of who you eliminate be a factor too, even if you just get a lucky third party? Now add these questions to an extraction shooter where multiple people in principle can extract, and there's much more RNG. Some extraction shooters I've played, you can go a whole match only facing one other person or team. And I'm only mentioning BRs because so many extraction shooter YouTube channels love to compare their games to battle royales. And I love it when people say there's no new battle royales that can succeed because the genre is quote unquote too saturated. However, out of all the genres, shooters in general are the most saturated. There's like 30 new shooters that come out every year, and you just don't know about them because there's just too many of them that come and go. With all that being said, there was one title I played that gave me a slight hope for these types of games succeeding. Dark and Darker, which is not a shooter, and I think it not being a shooter actually helped it stand out so much more and avoid some of the problems you face when making a shooter. This is a medieval fantasy that has a focus on melee and projectile combat, rather than sweaty hit-scan weapons, which makes facing NPCs a little bit more enjoyable, because your approach is different depending on what class you are playing and monster you are facing. Nonetheless, this game opened my eyes to what progression can actually be. I had true excitement when I first extracted from matches, knowing I could either sell these items I collect, keep them for later runs to make my life easier, or just hoard them as my personal trophy. The idea of having multiple winners just makes sense too, rather than a winner take all like you have in battle royales, where you can still feel like you have a good run even if you didn't kill anyone, because at least you left with nice loot that you get to keep. And just like battle royales, extraction shooters can have a lot more creativity and interactive maps that people can explore. Playing a different part of the map can really feel like a completely different game at times. And all of these things are why I plan on occasionally playing more extraction shooters on this channel. I will actually give them a chance and share my opinions as I search for an extraction shooter I can say I'm happy to main.